Hello everyone, it's Chris here and I am the artist today. I am drawing. Yes, indeed I am. I am drawing stuff. Maybe not excellently, but you know what? I'm drawing stuff. I'm having a little bit of fun and I'm kind of on vacation at the same time doing it. I'm drawing a Forerunner right now. Yeah, from Halo. Now, if you guys are big Halo guys, then maybe this won't be the video for you, but for those of you who are actually kind of fans of the game, stick around for a little while. Might learn a couple things about it. Now, the Forerunner in question I'm drawing is an individual, and I use that term lightly, called Catalog, which was a big character in the book Halo Silentium, which is one of my favorite Forerunner books. Actually, it's my favorite of the Forerunner series. And an excellent example of hard science fiction. I mean, I was so excited hearing for the first time that they were going to be making books about the Forerunners. And, of course, my mind immediately began racing. I wonder, what sort of things about Forerunner society could they tell us? And what sort of things could we learn about this? We never learned about them before. So naturally, picking up the first book, Cryptum, moving on to Primordium, and then finally to Silentium, I discovered that there was a whole facet of knowledge I just wasn't aware of, and I was just so appreciative of learning and just to see an aspect of the universe that was just so well created. And think what you will about Halo, it's a good read. I recommend, if anything, you pick up Silentium because it's just a good book. It's a good book. Greg Bear wrote it. Greg Bear is a award-winning science fiction author. I've read a couple of his other books as well, so I can sort of so I can really get the idea of what he was about and to see what he did before he came to Halo. And you know what? He's a great author. He's a great, very talented. So, hey, read him if you get the chance. Greg Bear, everyone. You know, also, one of the things I figured out is that after my experience with the Forerunner culture in the Forerunner books, I got the sense that, you know what? These guys were exactly like us. And I say that because sorry, I also have a cold, and that was just starting to clear up now. Oh, jeez. I'll get back to that other thing in a second, but I gotta let you guys know this was madness. This was absolute insanity for me. I had a medical nightmare. I was a medical nightmare for this entire trip, and the reason I say that is because throughout this entire trip, I've had some sort of medical mishap, and one of the worst is, and I'm so glad I'm speaking clearly now, is I had some sort of allergic reaction to something, and I'm not quite sure what. And it was just something. I must have picked it up somewhere on the trip because it was just, it was absolute insanity. It was craziness. As what happened was my tongue had swollen up, and I sounded like I had some sort of slur in my voice, and it was absolutely terrible. I sounded ridiculous. I sounded like I was, I sounded like something. I can't even place it because it was just so. I was so amazed I can actually understand what I was saying, and that was the problem. So I had to take some medication for that, and that cleared up. But not before I also got a couple of sore throats in the process, and those actually occurred one after the other. So that was fun. Hoo-hoo. Oh boy. Now, and finally, just to make my trip complete, I also have suffered from the not the sore throat, but the cold that I have now. So we have that going on. So I'm just going to remove these lines over here just for the sake of clarity. And yeah, I figured that my little running joke was they're going to have to write a medical journal on me alone just for this trip. You know, just for posterity and all that. So you can figure out just how messed up one guy can get during his vacation. Oh yeah, fun stuff. Good stuff. So, let's get back to Catalog here. As I was saying about Forerunner culture, and after my entire experience from the whole thing, is that Forerunners were just basically jerks. Well, they were not all jerks, but they had their fair share of jerks, just like we do. And that's the level that I can sort of understand. Like, we are one with each other, even though we are like 100,000 years distant in culture. We still have our jackasses, and the jackasses in question, of course, were the Master Builder because of his boneheaded decision to try to use the Halos on the Council of the Forerunners, the actual government, and he wiped them out. Like, because he used a halo on his own people. And he decided it would be a good idea to replace all the actual standing members of the government that were there before, that arguably weren't doing a very good job in the first place, and replace them with his own guys, his own builders, because the Master Builder was part of the Forerunner rate of the builders. So, yeah, surprise, surprise, right? So they were responsible for actually building all the cool stuff that you see in Forerunner Society. They were the guys that actually built the Halos, that built the Shield Worlds, that built the Ark, all that cool stuff. Ow. And, well, it wasn't good because they also tried to cover the whole thing up as well. Actually, the Forerunners tried to cover a whole bunch of things up. This is a bit of a spoiler if you didn't read any of the books yet. But it gives a sense that there's so much to Halo lore than you think. That the Forerunners, 10 million years prior to the Halo games, that was it 10 million years? Well, anyways. Fine, 10,100,000 years before the events of the Halo games, they wiped out another race called the Precursors. And the Precursors were sort of important because they were like the Forerunners to the Forerunners. They were the guys that actually created pretty much all life in the galaxy. The Forerunners basically said that, hey, you know what? We want the mantle. We want the mantle of responsibility. We want the ability to create and to be guardians of the galaxy, which is a good movie so far. So far, what I hear, it's I want to see that as well. It got Chris Pratt in it, Dave Bautista, and Bradley Cooper, as well as Vin Diesel. Actually, you know what? The movie sounds entirely awesome. I don't see how it can fail. Just wait, it's gonna suck. Anyways, what I was gonna say, Guardians of the Galaxy, and control of basically all life forms in there. So act as stewardship. Well, the Precursors thought, well, you know what? We don't think you're good enough. We have judged you. We have found your asses wanting. We're going to give it to another race that we have created. A couple little guys called humanity. So, yeah, humans were basically picked to be the inheritors of the mantle, and the Forerunners basically got second banana to the whole idea. And the Forerunners were kind of pissed at this whole thing. So they said, okay, you know what? We respectfully disagree with your opinion. They then proceeded to completely wipe out the Precursor race, basically tracking them down to the satellite galaxy with a small Magellanic cloud, which in the Forerunner time is called Path Cathona. And yes, I know I'm a complete and utter nerd for knowing this, but you know what? I enjoy when people craft these worlds and all that. So, where was I at? Oh yeah, so basically they wiped out the Precursor race. And that was considered a serious crime against the mantle. I mean, and that was, well, big surprise, right? So when I do this, I'm actually going to color this entire area, this little cavity, in an even darker sort of color, or I'm going to indicate that this is indeed a cavity of some sort for the arm to actually slide into. And I was going to do sensors, and there's a couple sensors. I'll draw on a sensor over here that I can do. And I'm actually glad that I have actually used the line setting, or the line layer, because I've actually before made the mistake of not actually using the line layer and actually using the color layer, and that completely and totally messed me up. But you see, I am usually a person that that doesn't regularly use digital art, so I'm still learning this sort of stuff. I'm still making sure that I can make stuff without, royally screwing it up. And jump cut, please excuse me. Okay, and so, what was I saying? Oh yeah, to basically saying that I completely don't futz this up so bad. And sorry, my sister's outside. She's just moving something around. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but if I do, I apologize for the audio corruption. But that's okay. We're all relaxing, right? So, more sensors and all that. And actually, and another thing I'm going to make sure is that there are Forerunner patterns and everything, because, well, Forerunners, angular stuff, because remember, ancient advanced aliens have to also have geometric shapes in pretty much everything. But it's also to basically remind us of the fact that Catalog himself is a sort it does reside in this carapace, that his body, for all intents and purposes. And funny enough, he can be, even though he's a he, she, it, I don't really know what catalog is, or even if whether or not catalog was a he or she. I think they actually refer to catalog as a he in the books. I'm not quite sure, but I'll have to get back to it. But they're still subject. Like, you can still give them to paradoxes. If you don't know what a paradox is, it's a self-conflicting statement, and that was one of the possible things. Like, if you had to confuse an AI, you give them a paradox, like this statement is a lie or something like that, and that would fry their brains. Now, catalog kind of works the same way, even though he has a biological core, and that was not a good thing, because when Forerunner civilization kind of fell and basically splintered at the time, they there was mendicant bias kind of took advantage of this. He and the Gravemind. Hang on, I'm going to switch back to this here. And they sort of caused catalog to sort of cease functioning, and that was a problem because catalog can instantaneously communicate with other parts of his group, other parts of his members of the actual how do I say it? Counterparts, other selves, other versions of himself. Well, in any case, it was important that he, she, it, I gotta stop doing that, was able to communicate with other parts of the Forerunner ecumene. And when you mess that up, nobody can talk to one another. It's very hard to cry for help. So, why exactly am I drawing catalog? Is that, like I said before, nobody that I know of has actually drawn them. Now, people have thought that there were possibilities of what he could look like, and like some people, I saw a guy that said that he probably looks like one of the probe droids from Star Wars or something like that, or a pit droid from Star Wars, but this is my personal interpretation of him. I actually use catalog in my own my personal non-professional, non-official writing that I cannot submit for publishing because of, legal reasons. You know what I mean. But I actually used the character, or the concept of this character, and I thought that would be interesting to sort of write him down. And yeah, what the hell? I'll even post it in the description because, well, readers are nice. I like to share a good story. Oh, come on, Dice. Sorry about that. I'm going to basically finish this off here, and yeah, I think this will be the last one for the time being, but I hope I can put a little bit of a backdrop here, or a little bit of a foundation I can use to my advantage. And when I'm actually finishing this up, it looks nice so far. I mean, all things considered. I mean, I don't consider myself, a stellar sort of artist or professional by any means, but you know what? This isn't all that bad, considering what I had to work with, which is essentially nothing. And I just got a Skype call there. That's probably from my group that I usually play board games with online, or Roll20.net. We actually play Rogue Trader, and that's okay because I'm actually the Rogue Trader. It's interesting to be in a position of that sort of power. I am the Rogue Trader, Jean-Jacques Depardieu, and I work in the stead of the Empire, or I work under the authority of the Imperium. So basically, I got a little laminated plaque on my ship that has the Emperor's name on it that me and my great granddaddy had signed for me, and he has blessed it upon me with the glory of the Emperor. And that is fun. I also got my own personal orc. Well, actually, it's a friend of mine who is my orc, and he's pretty lucky. He managed to get out of a burning building and all that, and it's fun. It really is fun to play that sort of thing, and I know it's kind of nerdy, but that's okay. Sometimes the nerdy things in life are the best. And let me see how much time we got left. It's okay, but you know what? I'm actually liking this so far. I actually went in there with a little bit of doubt, but I'm actually kind of happy with how this turned out. And obviously, there's probably someone that'll do a much better sort of thing first, but considering the fact that I haven't seen anybody do any sort of art like this, or hasn't depicted catalog before, I'm actually pretty damn impressed with myself, and I figured, yeah, this guy looks like he could sort of do your legal proceedings, stuff like that. You know, I'm gonna add a little bit of color here. I'm actually gonna add that on top of this, sort of like that. It was a Forerunner-ish color. There we go, something like that. Let's just put it in there. There we go. Sort of give it some life. What beautiful eyes you have, yeah? Like R2-D2-ish sort of thing there. Ooh. You are beautiful. You are very nice. Okay, so on top of that, I'm going to do it along the edge of this here to give it a sort of Forerunner sort of thing. I'll continue with this, of course. I'm just experimenting right now with a little bit of color. See how that goes. I know people are gonna say that I'm doing this too rough. That, oh, you're not doing this right. You know what? I'm probably not doing it right. I'm doing it my way. And you know what? It's gonna turn out just fine the way I want it to. Because remember, like Bob Ross said, or I'm paraphrasing Bob Ross, that you're the only one that can make you happy. You have to do what you want. He said something like that. I actually saw Bob Ross for the first time on TV down here in Florida, and I'm actually kind of sad that that's actually the case, because I thought that, well, I thought he is a very interesting man, that his message is, well, kind of rung true with me, and you know, it's the sort of thing that we need to do. Just do things for yourself, enjoy them, not because other people force you to do it. There we go. Something like that. Follow that there. Ooh. Oh, catalog. You can do my legal proceedings anytime you want. I almost imagine that catalog sounds like Data from Star Trek. Like, how awesome would that be if they actually managed to get Brent Spiner's voice or something like that? Like he understands emotions or something like that. But then again, Catalog does understand emotions, because he does say that on several occasions that he's amused by certain things. So I suppose he's got that going for him. I'm going to put some more color down here, and then I'll get back to doing some of the lines. That actually looks kind of neat. Let's switch back to this here. Let's zoom out a little bit and see how it looks. You know what? That's not too bad. That is not too bad. I think that I'm going to keep on going forward like that, but you can see essentially how that's going. Maybe I'll record one more, but you know what? I am actually really proud with this. I'm actually pretty proud of that I can actually think something like that up with very little to no indication or explanation of the character. So you know what? I'm going to leave this right now, and I might get back to that when I get back to that. I'll get back to you guys in the next video. This is Actual, and I am signing off.